Welcome back to another episode of the NC Squared Conspiracy Podcast. My name is Simon.
I'm Chance.
Today, we're talking about the hashtag Storm Area 51 situation.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, we'd like to thank all of our viewers out there who have supported us thus far, as well as our patrons who pay for our RSS hosting fees, as well as our beer and the pizza we're supposed to have but never get because
we forget.
I forget until right now when I'm saying that we eat pizza on this show.
Yeah, plus we're usually scrambling.
I have to keep telling myself, you're supposed to eat pizza on this show.
It's funny because we always record the same day.
I know.
But there's so much else going on that we tend to just forget the pizza.
This is whereas it is one of the largest current projects in my life, it's not the biggest thing I've got going on at the moment.
I mean, I got work.
I know, I work too. If I did this for 40 hours a week, I'd hope I made more money than I do. But
Yeah.
You got me off track. Area 50, hashtag Storm Area 51.
/ Area 51.
For those who don't know, that is a Facebook group that was created that is based around trying to take over Area 51 as citizens of the United States.
That was all kind of self-explanatory in the hashtag storm.
It is, but some people don't even know what a hashtag is. But
I'm
that's not what the show is about. You got to go to Tech Insider or something for that.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a kind of a two-parter. In the first part, we're going to give you some background on Area 51 and just talk about Area 51 in general. Then we're going to take an intermission so we can grab more beer. And we will then explain the hashtag Area 51 situation and tell you what we think is going to happen.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be the fun part.
And more things like that. You want to get us started, or do you want me to? You get us started.
All right, we'll get started with basically Area 51 is a small place out in Nevada. But anyways, it's out in New Mexico. It's been known by many different names. Area 51 is the number one name for I think
It has
most
become
people.
the number one name.
Yeah, pretty much. Getting started with just a little bit of the back history of it is
The back history.
The back history.
The history.
The
Back story. Or the
there's
history.
forward history too.
That's not true.
It's called the future.
Oh, yeah. For those who don't know, we drink on this show, too.
Yeah, a little bit.
We mentioned that they pay for beer, but
Right now we're having some.
anytime it seems like we're veering off track, it's not like we're getting drunk over here, but I like to blame it on the beer.
I like to blame
Any
it on
of
the
you
beer.
who don't like the show, blame it on the beer.
I like to blame
an
it on
alcohol
the fact
problem.
that we're just having a conversation about what interests us.
Sometimes I forget the mic is here.
Yeah,
We're just chit-chatting. So
All right, back on topic a little bit.
tell me about Area 51.
So Area 51 started off as being a auxiliary field, which is, if anyone doesn't know, an auxiliary field is like a refueling station for aircraft crossing the country kind of thing. Started off as Groom Lake Airfield. The big thing with that is that it built 2 5,000-foot runways, which pretty large at the time. I don't think any plane at the time needed that much runway, but it was also rumored for a lot of things at the time. So how it got the name Area 51 was the CIA designated it in an official memo as Area 51. Now that comes from the theory of the Atomic Energy Commission has a grid line, and all of the world is broken down basically into areas based on atomic bombs and stuff and testing and stuff like that. So Area 51 is right next to Groom Lake.
Right.
So that's where the theory comes from, but it's never been confirmed by any source.
And
That's
also,
why.
more often in official documents, it is referred to as the Homey Airport
Yep.
or Groom Lake. Those are the common terms for it. But it has been called Area 51, and it's also been called Dreamland.
Yep.
So those are some of the various terms. You've probably heard of one or most of those.
Well, Dreamland is the airplane.
Right, but people have started referring to the actual airfield as Dreamland.
So what I was saying with the airplane is that all of the scientists and non-governmental, non-military personnel are flown in. They don't drive in or take a bus or anything. They're flown in every day.
Right.
Which is expensive to start off
Well,
with.
local people take a bus, right? But it's people from
Is it?
Vegas. Yeah, it's the people who live in Las Vegas and live there. They take the airplanes.
Okay.
Well, I mean, this
that's
is all
still
speculation, though. No,
that's what the code name of the plane is Dreamland.
Oh, well, then that would make sense.
Yeah, so that's why it's commonly referred to as Dreamland as well.
I read multiple things somewhere saying that you can see small, not personal aircraft, but small commercial jets that are completely unmarked that leave the Vegas airport, and that is what they are for. And they're in like a separate area. You actually have to walk out onto the airstrip to board it. It doesn't come up to any gates or anything
Yeah, and they
like
get
that.
bused and shuttled to some unknown location, and they go from there.
Yeah,
I
right.
think it's some like lockdown parking lot system. But anyways, I digress.
Anyway,
So
that's not the point.
That's how it like got its name, though, is because the CIA actually officially in a memo of some kind like named it Area 51, and ever since then that's what it's been known as. So
Okay. That's the start.
that's the start of it all.
But people are wondering, what does this have to do with conspiracy theories? Everything. Pretty much everything.
Anytime the government doesn't tell you something, there's a
That
reason.
that is a conspiracy.
There's a reason they're not telling
That's
you.
the whole point.
And as a conspiracy person, it's like our obsession, well, not obsession, but our curiosity of why aren't you telling me? I like to speculate why.
Yes. And officially, Area 51, it has been stated that it is for testing
Oh, yeah.
aircraft. That has been released. People
Yep.
know this. This is public information. And so linking it to UFOs and stuff like that is not conspiracy theory. It's just straight up logic. They are flying airplanes that people don't know about. Thus, they are unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
They are UFOs. So
Well, do you want to name one of them and tell us a little bit about them?
I could. I was getting there. The reason people think this, part of the reason that Area 51 is so associated with UFOs and aliens and the such, because at the time, back then, people didn't know what it was for. It was totally classified, and the government did not exist its presence at that time.
Yeah.
They would, in court, say that Area 51 or Groom Lake or whatever does not exist.
Yeah.
But as part of Project Aquatone, I was reading this.
Oh.
Project Aquatone was a reconnaissance project against the USSR,
Yeah.
is essentially what it was. And this involved the development and the flying of the U-2 Lockheed spy plane, flown by the CIA.
Now, I forget whether we told them dates, but maybe we should tell them a couple dates.
It was 55.
55.
Yes, and that's coming off the top of my head, but I would bet money on it.
I bet you're right.
I'm pretty sure I'm right. 1955 was when Lockheed himself flew an airplane in order to find the location for what would be the test site of the U-2 spy plane. Mm-hmm. Right. And they saw this and realized it was the perfect area, and there was a large expansion that happened to Area 51 at the time because there was more projects happening. At the time, it wasn't a massive facility.
Yeah.
It was out in the middle of nowhere, and they actually didn't want to use this facility because it was so far away from everything that it was going to cost like 3 times as much to build what they needed, because they needed a longer airstrip, and they needed higher fuel capacity storage, and they also needed people to be able to live there comfortably. And at the time, nobody could live there comfortably. It was like bare bones
It's
stuff.
the desert.
There are sources online stating that now there is a movie theater, a baseball diamond that can be viewed from Google Earth, as well as ice cream shops and many other amenities on Area 51's premises.
That's everything you would need for alien
I
visitors.
could not source any of those, so do not quote me on that.
In alien lands, the first thing you gotta show them is the American baseball.
First off, this is a baseball, and second off, soft serve ice cream is over there.
I mean,
And then we're going to go catch a movie.
yeah.
That's the American way. But anyway, back to the aliens. That makes sense, though. Back to the aliens. The U-2 was a reconnaissance plane,
Yes.
not a Renaissance plane, because we didn't have planes in the Renaissance.
I mean, pretty close.
I don't know about that.
1890.
What happened in 1890?
8 inches of flight.
Was it?
Uncontrolled.
Oh, that
hop.
was the first recorded
That was the first recorded flight.
8-inch uncontrolled hop.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know when the Renaissance was to say,
like
but I was
1500s.
just saying it was far enough back we didn't have planes. And that's not even the point anyhow. The U-2 spy plane was a reconnaissance plane flown by and developed for the CIA for reconnaissance over the USSR.
Yeah.
as part of Project Aquatone.
Makes sense.
I had to wrap all that up because that took forever to explain and it wasn't supposed to.
Didn't they shoot one down?
Don't get me off track here. Part of a reconnaissance plane means that it flies really high, essentially. This was part of it. It was supposed to be a ultra high altitude, fast flying, long distance reconnaissance plane. And also at this time, 55 moving onward, there was a massive explosion of UFO sightings in and around Groom Lake. Right? Mm-hmm. And their excuse for this was that at the time, commercial airliners were flying between 20 to 25,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken, on average. And the U-2 was flying at altitudes of 70,000 plus feet. You tried to show me the fact, but I already had it in my mind.
I know.
I already knew. Flying at 70,000 feet. And so they said the pilots of the commercial aircrafts would look up and they would see this plane above them. And as pilots, they could not identify that as an airplane, so they called it in as a UFO. The U-2, we'll post a picture of it. The U-2 spy plane, because there's pictures now, it's not as secretive as it used to be. It looks like an airplane.
I mean, it's pretty
It
straightforward.
looks like an airplane that maybe like a child would draw, even. It's got like...
super giant jets on it.
Yeah, exactly. It looks just like an airplane. So you're telling me that a pilot of an aircraft, when he looked up and saw this dot in the sky, it must have been big enough he could see it. He noticed it out the roof of his airplane, I guess, or the windshield, or I don't know what kind of airplane he was flying. I wasn't there. But anyhow,
Fair enough.
He couldn't recognize that as a plane, even though he was currently piloting a plane.
That's the other thing is radar at the time was prevalent.
Yes, this is true.
So
That's probably how they noticed it.
yeah, the towers and stuff would have known that they were in the area.
Right.
Assuming.
Right. Well, at the time, people still weren't talking about it. Right. It was a secretive project. So when they made these UFO claims, they gave the classic, it's a weather balloon, etc.
Classic.
They said that, or like your radar, it was a malfunction on the radar or something like that. They gave those excuses. But then later, when we got the information about Lockheed, the U-2, we learned that it was actually the plane. And they would rather lie to people and tell them that it was weather balloons or Cuba or whatever, rather than just saying that, well, it's a military aircraft and we can't tell you about it yet.
Just calm down.
Why couldn't
in about
they
50
just...
years.
That would be so easy, rather than trying to lie to everybody and then get caught later because we later learned they were lying.
I'm going to tell you it's because it wasn't the U-2.
I don't know, but that is when the U-2 was being developed and it was being flown at Groom Lake, Area 51. That was happening, confirmed.
Okay, so you're on the side of it's the U-2 and pilots were misidentified.
Well, hang on. I'm not hang on. Let me finish my train of thought here.
Go ahead.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that was their excuse as for why the UFOs that pilots were reporting weren't actually UFOs. That is what they said weather balloons, and then later they were like, it was actually just the U-2 and you didn't recognize it was an airplane, you thought it was a UFO. Maybe that happened. I'm not saying that that's not true. Maybe it was the U-2. But if aliens were interested in coming down and poking around and seeing what we're up to here on Earth, secret Air Force base with an airplane that's flying higher than any airplane currently, almost.
That's true.
Because there was one other one that flew higher, I believe. But either way, if I was an alien, that's what I'd be checking out. I'd be like, whoa, these people are way higher off the ground than they have been recently. We should go poke around there for a minute. So I would say a boost in UFO sightings around Groom Lake at the time of the U-2 being flown absolutely makes sense to me.
All right.
So I'm saying that's their excuse, and even if it is valid, partially, I would bet money that UFOs were flying around at the time.
Do you want to hear my theory?
Not really, but I'll listen.
Oh, that's hurtful.
Let's hear it. I'm ready.
I have dates and facts.
Well, I have...
Loosely defined facts, sir.
Loosely, okay. Well, I have passion, and that's more important than whatever numbers
mine's
you have.
Passionate. All right.
Let me hear it.
So, all right, I've connected
Clear the throat.
dots.
It's gonna be...
I've connected the dots.
Okay, I'm ready.
1942, auxiliary airfield set up for refueling. Just a normal airfield in the desert. No one wants to be there. 1947, 5 years later, UFO crashes. Whoa, world's changing. We need to figure this out. Reverse technology it. Have a safe place to test it. So in 1952, they start Project Blue Book to investigate UFO sightings.
We talked about this once. Mm-hmm. What episode was?
It was the Bermuda Triangle one, I think.
All right.
No, it was Roswell or...
That's right, Roswell. So go back and listen to the Roswell episode, everybody. Shameless promotion.
So that's 1952. So 47 is the crash. So 5 years after Groom Lake was made, crash. 5 years after that, Blue Book's made. 5 years after that, approximately.
Do you want to give a brief description of Blue Book for those who didn't see that episode?
Project Blue Book was an FBI-driven task force sanctioned by the Pentagon along with the rest of the government to investigate UFOs. Pretty simple, pretty down to earth. They investigated all and every UFO sighting out there that was deemed credible.
There were thousands.
Yeah, thousands.
Yep.
And that was what they were funded to do. So that's a little brief history of Project Blue Book. So that was in 1952. 1954 rolls around. 3 years of investigating UFOs. They design an aircraft that's capable of getting to the altitudes to investigate UFOs.
That makes sense.
All right. So we try harder than anything to build an aircraft capable of getting up there and taking pictures of the USSR at the time, who was already pretty much losing. Come on now. No, not really. But
Love you guys.
But the point here is that the space race was what ended Russia. But before this, there was this big technological leaps and things. But what if it was connected to the UFOs? So 1954, 55 is when they designed the U-2 so it could get up to the altitudes never reached before, 70,000 feet, so that we could closer observe UFOs. Then, 50 years later, they release it as this was a tested subject and blah, blah. And then it was like 15 years later, they finally took away the redactions on the U-2 testing and stuff.
Right.
After they had 15 years to modify all the original documents.
2013.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is they released it initially in 1998, super redacted, like massive amount of information still blocked. This is like 50 years after the U-2's, and it's like 30 or 40 years after the U-2's.
That was the info that they had to give up that was declassified. I'm going to give some info that adds to that.
Go ahead.
It was actually a dude named Jeffrey Richelson in 2005. Jeffrey Richelson is the one that submitted the Freedom of Information Act request asking about the U-2 and Groom Lake specifically, 2005. And then 2013 is when it was accepted. Classic government there. It took them 8 years to process that request.
Yeah.
8 years.
Enough time to alter the original documents.
Right. Also on that note, because a lot of people don't know, and a lot of people don't care probably, but I don't care that they don't care.
I care.
You can go to the CIA website and you can read them. The declassified documents. There is like PDF scanned photos of these, and parts of them are whited out.
Yep.
Like digitally. They were like, can't see that. Can't see this.
I wonder who the guy is who's like, nah, take that out.
I want to be that guy.
I know. But you see my connect the dots situation here.
I get that. So what are you saying the claims of aliens... You're saying they're 100% valid.
After 1947, which, when did they start? 55,
I think.
So they needed a place to secure this, reverse engineer any technology there, and figure out what it is. Somewhere secret, somewhere in an area that's unknown and not on the books.
Right.
An area similar to Area 51 in the desert. That's an auxiliary field refueling station that has no interest to anyone anywhere.
Yeah, that makes sense. They actually built it, like I was saying, they built it so far out in the middle of nowhere, and there was multiple sites they were considering. They built it so far out in the middle of nowhere that it cost over 3 times as much as the initial site was supposed to cost.
Yeah.
So they were like, it needed to be that secretive.
Yeah.
And it is to this day.
But I'm saying if we're going the UFO route, which I always do.
Yeah, right.
I'm saying that if the general who contacted Roswell's commander at the time and was like, shut the heck up. It's a weather balloon. Bring that stuff down to Houston or wherever it was. I think it was Houston.
It was. We'll say that.
They take it down there. They put it in a big hangar. That's a lot of prying eyes. It's a pretty active base. There's going to be a lot of people who witness something and say something they shouldn't.
It's a large base.
So they need to move it. It takes them at least 5-6 years to figure out a good location. Like you said, they researched where a good place for the U-2 spy plane would be.
Right.
Really, they were trying to find out a place where they could work on this spacecraft with unseen eyes and then test what they reverse engineer.
Sure. That's interesting, and I have a comment on that. So UFO sightings around that area they extended back before even the U-2 testing, development, and flying was happening there. Mm-hmm. And so what if at that moment, when all these commercial pilots are saying that they're seeing discs or whatever floating through the sky and they're reporting UFOs, and they're saying those are just weather balloons, don't worry about it. They're like, we need to be studying UFOs right there.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially if we gain part of the tech and we start learning its capabilities, then we build a plane that's capable of reaching altitudes enough to where we would assume they would be. Right. There is a scientist somewhere who ran the numbers, crunched them, and was like, we need to get to at least like 70,000 feet, man.
Yeah.
And they were like, build it.
Do it. They spent mass amounts of money doing it. The drive was high, for sure.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
That's my theory.
I follow you there.
It all collates around this time from right after World War II to basically space flight to the moon. That was like the biggest amount of funding and secrecy of any projects and all projects at the time. They didn't want anyone knowing. And everyone says it's the Cold War, but I think that's just a red herring. I think that was we got to beat the Russians, but we were outspending them already. And they were growing their influence in North Korea and South Korea and stuff like that.
Right.
We had a war going on at the time, the Forgotten War. A lot of our resources should have been going to those situations, like Vietnam and the Korean War and like all that. But we were still dumping secrecy and funding into these other projects.
Right.
And claims to be against the Russians. And I'm not saying it's 100% that wasn't what really was going on.
There can be multiple motivations for anything.
Exactly. People can do two things at once.
Okay. On that note, this is all post-World War II.
Yep.
If you know your history.
A little bit.
I don't, but I do know that these dates that we're rattling off is post-World War II. Nuclear testing sites. Mm-hmm. I always talk about, I think if UFOs were to come down and be investigating any part of Earth, it would be near nuclear testing sites.
Yeah, that's usually where a huge amount of UFOs are.
That's true. That is where the most sightings are reported. And that makes sense to me. The reason would be that if we have any sort of technology that has the capability of ending other planets, that's the only thing we have.
Yeah.
There's many weapons, but it is by far the strongest thing that we currently have utilized.
It's our version of a Death Star.
Exactly. So if anybody wants to come and poke around or there's a reason for aliens to come down, that would be a really good one.
Yeah, it's definitely a reason to take notice.
If you were monitoring the universe around you, you would notice such a large shift. It changes the world.
Yeah.
It has
shifted. Not to mention
it's shifted the planet before.
The radioactive environment, the flashes of light. I guarantee you, if they were observing us through the Black Knight satellite, that would have been recorded, and they would have been like, "Oh, we need to check this out."
Right. And then the Nevada test site. It's 18 to 20 miles away or something like that. It's right next door.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, there was another one that was 44 miles away.
That sounds about it.
I might be making that up, but I don't care. Either way, at least the Nevada test site was nearby. So, at that point, people are reporting aliens. It would make sense that aliens have been there because of nuclear testing sites. Mm-hmm. And so that would be the place that you would want to start developing a U-2 that can reach altitudes high enough to investigate aliens, UFOs.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're going off of sightings, and also they have radar, like you said, so they would be able to see, hey, it looks like these things are flying at around 70,000 feet. So we're going to have to fly 70,000 feet up there to take a look.
Well, not to mention they had in 1954 they already had a rocket propelled plane that could reach 90,000 feet. Now that was a test plane.
That
obviously.
was the NASA one.
The Bell X-1.
The Bell, for NASA.
Yep.
That's right. And that one was
Piloted
was a
by-
little different because it had to be launched from another airplane.
Yeah.
Right. It had to be dropped.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that like that was 90,000 feet, which was a record in 1954, which is when the U-2 was supposed to be being researched and developed.
Right.
Before that, we were still doing rocket planes in the 80 and 60,000s, and that was like the breaking point was the 90,000.
Right.
So,
I learned that a new jet fuel was actually developed for the U-2. They had to develop a specific fuel for it because till that point we didn't have any fuel that was stable at such high temperatures and at such high altitude.
you know what we could have developed some fuel from? Reverse engineering
I
of
don't
the fuel
know.
of an
Maybe
UFO.
reverse engineering a UFO.
Yeah.
I can see that.
I'm just saying.
My main problem with the whole reverse engineering the UFO thing is, well, I don't know. There's some genius people in our country, but like I don't give the government very much credit, and like they're the ones that are supposed to be heading this. I don't know. Maybe the CIA. I don't know.
My thing is, you've seen the YouTube, pictures of the YouTube.
Yeah.
And you've seen commercial jets, and at the time, jets required huge fuselages to like carry enough fuel to like go any kind of distance.
Right.
Like you said, we had to develop a new fuel for it. Look how tiny that thing is, and how massive those jet engines are. They could not have been a stable enough fuel that it would have been able to fly the entirety of like Russia and stuff, or even like for a significant amount of hours. Like,
Right.
It's such a small wingspan, which is where most fuel is stored anyways, is like the wings and stuff like that. So like maybe not back then, but it's an odd shaped aircraft for being able to sustain 70,000 feet and go long distances and do reconnaissance.
It is. It's kind of funny though because like a lot of current designs and designs that came after that still reflect it. I cannot remember the name right off the top of my head, but people have seen pictures of it. Anybody who's interested in airplanes, the airplane with the giant radar dish on top of it.
Yeah.
It is current.
That
It's
one's-
currently used for Renaissance. It is.
Renaissance?
Damn it! I said it earlier, and now it's like stuck in my head. Reconnaissance. It's used for reconnaissance.
Yeah.
Maybe Renaissance. That's coming up.
What?
Renaissance. A new
right.
Renaissance.
Renaissance conspiracy.
God
We'll do it
dang it.
soon.
Need another beer.
Apparently.
That's funny. No, it's used for reconnaissance today, and it just has striking resemblance to this airplane that was developed back in the 50s.
I was misremembering it. Those are fuel tanks on those wings, but I could have sworn they were engines.
I don't know. It had that big growth on top, though.
Oh, yeah. That one.
Yeah, and no, I mean the U-2 did. It had that hump on top.
Oh, yeah.
And new reconnaissance planes also have that.
Good job.
Still, thank you. They have that now, today.
True.
Right?
But back to Area 51 a little bit. That's the gist of it, is that, it started off as super secretive. CIA was involved. CIA flew the U-2 planes. So it wasn't even Air Force that played them or flew them.
Right. And the Air Force actually owned and owns Area 51.
Yeah.
It is a United States Air Force branch. The Homey Airport is.
But they own Area 51.
But they own it. Exactly.
And they fly in a bunch of people who are scientists on this magical plane that they're spending lots of money to fly people in on.
This is true. It's fine. We're talking a lot about aliens. We're about to take a small break here, and then we're going to come back. This whole hashtag Storm Area 51 thing. People are excited because they are going there to see them aliens.
Get that
I
sweet
quote,
alien tech.
Get the sweet alien tech. So after we take a break here, we're going to come back and we're going to explain to you why they're going to be sorely disappointed when they get there.
Yeah.
All right, we're back. Drank Angry Orchard earlier, and today we're drinking. I'm excited about this one.
I'm excited
I showed
about
you,
that
and
one.
you became excited about this one. Julian hard cider paranormal cider. That's awesome. And it's got the Illuminati eye on the front with a pyramid and an eagle. Because America.
You know what?
And we only got one. I don't know what size these large bottles are.
Maybe we can get him to sponsor us.
Now that would be awesome. What's the company? Julian. Whoever Julian is. If he's out there, or she, you can do whatever you want. We are looking for that exact type of advertisement. We drink out of frosty mugs here.
His beers all wrong. You see this?
Well, I wasn't sure how much is in here. I don't normally pour 2 glasses from one bottle. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying.
That was pretty damn even. You see
It's
that?
even.
Yeah, I know I was doing it wrong. I wasn't sure how much was in there, and I wasn't trying to.
He calls
take
himself
too long.
a beer drinker. All right, let's get.
I'm not. That's why I don't. That's we're gonna give it an initial sippy test here.
Smell. Very
Whoa.
pear.
Very pear.
Ooh.
That is pear, but it also tastes exactly like applesauce.
I know.
It's got a. You think that too? It's got an applesauce taste.
100% was tasting applesauce there for a second.
That's weird. It's like pear cider, but over top, an essence of applesauce, just like the treetop or whatever.
What is going on there?
It's really good.
Maybe all applesauce is really pear sauce, and they've tricked us as a marketing campaign.
Oh no, I bet you anything.
Because pears
Well, I'm
might
not
be
going to bet you
cheaper.
anything, but I would bet that there's various fruits in applesauce. We'll save that for the post-podcast podcast.
Yeah.
So, first half of the show, we talked about Groom Lake, Area 51, Homey Airport,
Yep.
etc. Dreamland, still one of my favorites. But for the second part, we're going to talk about what the episode is entitled, which is the hashtag Storm Area 51 situation. For those who don't know what that is, it is a Facebook event that was basically started as a joke
Yeah.
and took off. And the whole idea of the Facebook event was that we were going to storm Area 51 because they cannot stop all of us.
Wait, you're not quoting the running.
I didn't make it that far yet.
That's my favorite part.
I didn't make it that far yet. But it was made as a joke, and then it ended up gaining a lot of traction on the internet because
Somehow.
anything that's popular on the internet was a joke.
At one point.
At one point, and now is serious. But now, as of this morning, 2 million people have said they are going, and 1.4 million more people have said they're interested in going. That's wild.
Yeah.
They have this dude. I didn't look up much info on the dude because I wasn't going to talk about that today, but he has surfaced and people know who he is now. And he's like freaked out. He thinks he's in trouble, and he might be. I don't know.
Smidge.
Just a little bit. But it has caused many problems.
Yeah.
Every hotel within like 100 miles or something like that is overbooked, they said.
Yep.
And they're worried that all these little towns are not going to be able to handle the influx of people that are showing up.
Oh, they'll handle it.
They'll handle it.
Because you got to think all the hotels are booked. How many people are showing up with the cars and campers and stuff?
It's just desert.
Yeah.
That is like the biggest open campground you could possibly.
We have to be there.
The people who think they can't handle it, they've never been to a music festival or something like
that's
that, because people will camp right next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely room in the desert to house all these people. Anybody who didn't get a hotel room, they're not just going to go there.
I can imagine Area 51, and literally the entire circulation of Area 51 is just everyone.
It just looks
parked
like
all
Burning
over,
Man.
right on the edges of the boundaries.
Yeah.
It's just
It just looks like Burning
over a
Man
million
outside
people,
of
like,
Area
in
51.
a giant circle around this base.
Yeah,
What are
exactly.
they gonna do?
The Air Force came forward and said that they will do whatever they need to do
To protect America's assets.
to protect America's assets, which apparently doesn't include its citizens, because they just threatened
2
to
million.
kill. They just threatened 3+ million people,
Yeah.
saying that
That's a
they'll
lot
do
of
whatever
people.
they got to. They didn't say they're going to kill people, but when the Air Force says they say what they're going to do, they're going to do what they got to do. That's what it means.
Yeah.
That That's what it means.
Coming from another military guy, that's a threat. As PC as you can be, that's a threat.
Yeah.
So
There's not a whole lot of facts to give on it because this thing has surfaced recently.
so much, yeah.
It came up recently, and really any information you want on it, you can find online. Chances are you've already read about this somewhere.
Oh yeah, news is reporting on it. And everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every news agency was talking about it for a bit there.
That's what I'm saying. So we're not here to give you facts because a lot of you people probably know the facts. We are
Better than us.
We're more so here to talk about what we think is going to happen because everybody is going there to see aliens. And we are going to tell you why we think those people are going to be very disappointed when they get there. Do you have comments on that, or would you like me to continue?
I mean, you can jump into it if you
Do
don't.
you agree?
I agree that they're going to be disappointed.
They're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were talking about why there potentially may have been aliens located there at one point in the past, whether it be the nuclear testing sites, etc., but they could potentially be flying planes there because of the high UFO content. We gave all the reasons for why people believe there are aliens at Area 51 and why there might have been aliens at Area 51 at some point in time. Mm-hmm. I do not personally think that for any reason there would be aliens there right now because they have gone through such lengths to make sure that everything that is going on at Area 51 is kept extremely secret. Mm-hmm. If they're just think of the money spent.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's ridiculous how much effort and the manpower, they fly people in every single day. The manpower that this is taking to keep it all a secret, if that secret was potentially going to be compromised, they would have a plan for that.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's just one of the many reasons why I think people will be disappointed is because if they were able to get everything there without you knowing, and now 2 million people are threatening to show up on your doorstep and demand the information, they can move those secrets somewhere else.
Yeah.
Vehicles come and go every single day.
Yep. Not to mention planes. Unmarked planes can go anywhere they want.
It is an airstrip. Airplanes, helicopters come and go.
It's at Area 73 in Alaska now.
What?
What?
What'd you just say?
It's at Area 73 in Alaska now.
I didn't. Okay. Tell me about that, because I didn't know anything about that.
Oh, there's an airstrip that goes into a mountain in Alaska.
And that's where they're at?
We'll talk about that in another episode.
But do you think they're there?
I think they were moved a long time ago. I think once they got what they needed from reverse engineering the technology, and then we had an explosion in the technological advances, such as going to the moon and stuff like that. Once we reached those steps, and Area 51 became publicly known and conspiracially known, like I think
Conspiracially.
I know. I went with
good,
it.
yeah.
I went with it.
That was good.
I think they moved all that stuff to non-prying eyes and kept up the secrecy, and then did more normal like stuff, like actual normal research,
Right.
so that they could keep it secret. But at the same time, it's like sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Keep everyone guessing what's over here in Area 51. Ignore Area 73 over here.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Sure.
I'd want you to look at one place while I'm doing stuff in another place.
Definitely. That leads me into another subject. And we're not even commenting on the subjects here, but I'm just giving ideas here. Because that's what I do. Mm-hmm. Professional conspiracy theorist.
We are.
We've deemed it. I always think the government's lying to me. And probably you.
97% of the time, you're correct.
And probably the listeners. They're probably lying to you. Everybody's lying to you. That's just how it is.
That's where the joke comes from.
Right. Exactly. That's why there's conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But anyhow, so they kept this thing a secret. They lied to everybody.
I think they confirmed its existence for the first time last year.
It was actually earlier than that.
Oh, okay.
It was in the 2013 report. It had been mentioned in reports, but it had officially been acknowledged as a base of operations in 2013 after that dude had requested the information back in 2005. So it took them 8 years, but they fabricated something. Mm-hmm. And it was
That's
bought.
what I would do.
I read it. I kind of believe it. I don't know. But either way, I also think it's like, it's hard to explain. I think they're lying to you. They were lying to us back then. And then once they were forced to release the information, admitting what had been going on there, and everybody realized they had been lying to them, why would they not move them somewhere else? Now that everybody knows that's where the shady stuff is going on, and you would move them anywhere else immediately.
And on top of that, when someone requests public documents of some kind like that, where they're like Freedom of Information Act, blah,
Yeah.
what reference do you have to say that that's fake? They literally just provide you some documents, say, hey, here it is.
And it took
they throw in
them
a couple redactions
8
here.
years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, here's the file, slaps down a giant manila of like secret files on the dude's desk. It took 8 years for it to happen.
Which is plenty of time.
And he's still got forms with whiteout on it.
Yep. That's what I'm saying, is if you just take some
on.
forms that are just like normal forms, reference a few things and timelines and white out and redact some information, and then you go, here you go. How can you tell them that's not the real file? You don't know what it looks like.
It's a secret until now. I know. I know. It
That's
gets
why
me
I think
worked
the Freedom
up.
of Information Act is like not overused. I think it's a joke because you can request the documents.
I think we could do an episode on that. I also think it was a joke and it actually didn't accomplish much of anything.
Because who is to say they gave you the real documents in any way?
Situations it was helpful. But
Yeah, select situations, I'm sure.
again, the people who go to Area 51 and are actually expecting to see aliens are going to be disappointed for any number of those reasons that we just gave you. All those make sense. Why would aliens be at Area 51 if 3 million people are going to show up at Area 51?
But they told everyone when they were showing up.
Yeah.
They gave them plenty of time to move stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He made an event as a joke. So, like, that's not his fault.
That's
but
not his
they
fault.
had a couple months, did they not?
What we should do is really do a secretive preemptive strike a month earlier on August 20th.
Start something new. Small team. Reconnaissance team. Not a Renaissance team, but maybe. But a small group of people. We go in August 20th, penetrate secretly.
Yeah.
And then we get the aliens because they haven't sent them out yet. Maybe.
Obviously, they got a month to plan.
They got a month and they're like, Psh, I'll take care of that later.
Because that's how the government
That's
works.
what the government does. It took them 8 years to get this dude the form he needed. They're gonna wait. They could wait till the last moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of a toss up between those for me. Have they been gone for a long time, or are they still there and the government's gonna be pushing them out like the last weekend on like, they're like, just put them on a Blackbird, send them into the stratosphere.
I really hope that we have some like footage of like some unmarked planes just flying out like the day before. So we
Yeah,
can be
I know.
like, that's where they went.
There's people who like just watch the airstrip.
Oh, yeah.
That's like their whole channel.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty good. So I'm sure there's people out there documenting it. Probably just hard to find the info.
Well, since YouTube doesn't allow you
YouTube
to.
won't recommend conspiracy theory videos, and I'm pretty sure claims of unmarked airplanes leaving Area 51 of aliens counts as conspiracy theories.
Alternative news.
It's
so-
alternative news, which is the only news anybody should be listening to.
Yeah, true.
But on a real note, what do you really think is going to happen?
Oh, with
All
the
of
actual
it. How many
storming?
people do you think are going to show up? What do you think is going to happen? What's going to be the aftermath?
Originally, my statement was I think about 1% of the people who said they are going to go are going to go. And now that it's reached about 2 million, that was before when it was like 900,000 people or so.
Right.
I was like, maybe 9,000 people. Now I'm feeling like maybe more will show up since we actually looked into it and all the hotels are overbooked and stuff like that in 100
Right.
square miles. It might be more than 1%. But even let's say conservatively 1% of 2 million. That's still 20,000 people showing up.
Are you sure of that?
7% sure.
I think you're right. I don't know. Okay. Go on.
So 20,000 people show up. Mob mentality. We've talked about it before. It's a terrifying thing.
Right.
All it takes is one spark and then people just do stuff. topple cars, set stores on fire.
That's true. Yeah, that is true.
So everyone out there, right on the border, saying, "Hey, what's up, guys?" One security truck sitting there going, "We got 20,000 people out here. Please send back up."
Yeah. That, just to add to that, not to cut you off, but all the trucks, the white trucks that are outlining Area 51 are not like Area 51 employees.
No,
they're
they're
private
not.
security hired third party.
Yeah, it's
and
a
so
buffer
that's
zone.
even funnier to me because those guys are sitting on the front lines and they're like, I am not paid for this. They're like,
what
now
I
they're
would do.
like crowd control at like Burning Man or something like that. And so
I
they're
bet you
they're calling in and they're like, are you seeing this? There is a ridiculous amount of people out here.
I think they call in and be like, "I quit."
I saw,
Just drive
I saw a
off.
petition online that was to have Africa by Toto playing while everybody storms Area 51.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. So that's also funny to me because they're sitting there in their white cars with their shades on, as they always do.
Yeah.
And they hear like a faint sound in the distance. And he's
Yes.
like, looks at the dude next to him.
And they just see cars just
hear that?
straight up bombing it.
And it's just Africa by Toto just blaring max volume.
It's like Mad
with
Max.
all of these millennials marching hopelessly
No,
towards Area
It
51.
won't be a march. People are smarter than that. Everyone's going to get in their cars and just drive. It's 20
I
square
don't give
miles.
I don't give them that much credit.
It's 20 square miles. You
Okay.
better be driving.
So go on. What do you think is going to happen?
All right, so-
Mob mentality.
Two things happening here after the mob mentality ensues. One, I think Area 51 will call on National Guard to assist in the protection of it. So I think we'll see within the week before September 20th as preparation. You're going to see them drawing from National Guard and maybe even some active duty infantry units. And they're going to have them as security because they, like when I was in the States, that was one of the things we had to do for a nuclear power plant that had a threat against it, is we had to be on standby for security. So
Right.
if that threat was credible, we had to be able to quickly react. That's what's happening with Area 51 right now.
By definition.
2 million people have said we're showing up and you have no choice about it. But I think they forget that they have a lot of guns and a lot of things. So it'll go one of two ways. Either they're going to just stand down and let them come through and not have a massacre on their hands.
Wait, don't give me your best bet. What do you think?
Best bet?
Yeah.
I
What do
think
you-
a bunch of people are going to get drunk in the desert.
That'd be good. That's what I want to
I mean,
do.
it's a good week. It's a good week to do it.
That
But
sounds good.
it depends on how many people show up and whether that spark gets ignited.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say that half show up.
Okay.
So you've got,
1 million people.
we'll say, 1 million people. That's ridiculous.
All right.
What do you think is going to happen?
Oh, we'd storm it.
Yeah.
1 million people, they didn't show up for nothing.
And then what do you think the retaliation would be?
I think they'd stand down, to be honest.
Just let them walk in.
I think they just have to. Like, unless they don't have the ammo for it. Even if they bring in Air Force to drop bombs and stuff, that shit is not what they want to see on the news. Is people
That's
being
true.
shot up and bombed. U.S. citizens, no matter how much you're protecting your base, they're U.S. citizens, and you can't explain that away.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think that would actually be the start of a civil war. If I
Yeah,
had to
a little
guess,
bit.
I would say that would actually be the start of a civil war.
I mean, you think people will react really extremely with like shootings? Imagine your own U.S. government doing a shooting on a million people.
On that note, the people who believe that 9/11 was planned, school shootings are planned, and that sort of thing,
Yeah.
they are expecting that the whole Area 51 raid is going to be the government's first blatant display of power. Because they think that 9/11 was a display of power in one way or another, and also these school shootings are planned in order to control the laws and stuff. People think that.
Yeah, I get that.
People think that.
That's not
they
our
think,
views.
Right, not our views, but people think that. But those people believe that this will be the government's first blatant display of power in that way, and they will just mow down people. I personally don't think there will be any mowing down.
I don't think so.
Personally,
Naruto run.
Naruto run. Exactly. That's right. The page said that they're going to Naruto run so that they're faster than their bullets.
I mean, I don't think they have 1 million bullets.
No, I mean, like, that's what how many people, these are not all unarmed people.
That's true.
This
You
is
gotta
New
factor
Mexico, Nevada, people flying in from all over. Some of these people will have at least a sidearm on them.
At least.
But let's assume they're all unarmed. How many armed people does it take to take out 1 million unarmed people?
At least 1 million rounds.
I'm about 1 million rounds. So, like, how many soldiers who are willing to just mow down citizens?
Your average combat soldier carries 7 mags of 30 rounds in it with an M4 capacity. So 7 magazines of 30 rounds. That's a combat load.
210.
210 rounds per soldier.
Okay, so then 1 million
Let's do the math.
divided by 210.
That's assuming they don't have any light machine guns such as the 240 Bravo, the 249, or the 50 cal or anything. Well, the 50 cal is a heavy machine gun. But the point is they don't have anything other than M4s.
So this is 4,761 headshots.
Yeah.
No, sorry. 4,761 soldiers with 210 headshots.
Yeah.
I like that. Those numbers seem promising. So, like, that's a lot of people to be at Area 51
That's
at a
only
given
half
time.
of the people that said they're going too.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, that many soldiers at Area 51.
4,000. Well, I mean, you're at basic battalions about that.
Sure, but I mean, like, that's a lot of people to be moving there for this purpose.
Yes.
That's ridiculous.
Yes. That's
don't
why
know.
I think they'll stand down. I think you're gonna see like a week before it.
I'm gonna give
They're
you-
gonna pack up shop, and it's just gonna be like a desolated, like gone.
Now you're moving towards kind of what I think. I
Go ahead.
I do not disagree with you. I personally believe that people are going to be like more welcomed in. I really do. I think even the
Do you
site.
think there will be tour guides?
I think even this. Maybe.
yeah.
I could see that. I think things are over commercialized. I don't think that this is going to be commercialized necessarily, but I think that the public responds really well to things that are commercialized. And that's why America does that. That's why we have so many commercials and why we have commercials that to some people seem blatantly stupid but still work on the mass population.
Yeah.
I'm sure they recognize that that works because that is the kind of society that we live in.
Yeah.
And so I think that people are more or less going to be welcomed in. Even the sight of a riot squad control just beating up thousands of citizens who are just trying to learn something about what's going on in the tier above them in the country
Yeah.
is that would not be good. Potential for civil war still. I told you, we don't think there are aliens there.
No, I think they moved them.
I think they are probably they've been cleaning all this time. 2 months, they clean everything up so that people can come and not see anything too crazy. And then when people show up, they're going to be like, all right, come on in, y'all. See what we've been doing.
See this jet engine that's inside this warehouse?
Probably just like a basic jet engine, but
Yeah.
people are like, whoa, it's
Like, is that
upside
alien
down.
tech?
Exactly.
Like, no, they moved that 17 years ago.
Right, exactly. And like, best case scenario, maybe they do have some stuff there that's really mind blowing. I'm
Yeah.
sure they probably do at some given times. You could say that about any
It's the
secret.
desert, man. Nobody wants to be there.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So if they're there, there's something spectacular going on.
Yeah.
They let everybody in and they show them something spectacular. How would that hurt them? The average populace will not be able to do anything with that spectacular thing.
True.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, look at some of the technological advancements we've had that aren't commercialized yet.
Right. Exactly. See, and I think that they're going to welcome people in. They're going to show them something cool. And I think that they're going to do that based on the fact that Americans respond so well to something that is majorly commercialized.
Yep.
And I think they recognize that. I think it's sad because I think people are affected too heavily by advertisements.
Me too.
Open your eyes. They're so stupid. I cannot believe people are affected by some of the advertisements I see run.
All right, not to beat up everybody, but I agree with them here. Like, I've seen some commercials, and I'm like, that is the dumbest
I know.
commercial I've
Like,
ever seen.
don't
in
get
my
me
life.
wrong. Sometimes I'll see a Taco Bell commercial and I'll want Taco Bell.
I'll chuckle at the occasional commercial. I'm
I
like,
will too.
That's pretty good.
I'm not gonna joke like I do. But at the same time, when you got like literally 10-second ads on Facebook whose entire purpose is to sway your opinion on a political stance, that must work on people or they wouldn't pay for it. There are people out there whose opinion on something that can be so drastic can be changed by a 10-second video that they saw on Facebook scrolling through memes.
Yeah.
And that's why I believe that that is what they will do when people get to Area 51. They will bring them in and show them a commercialized experience to some extent, and the mass populace will...
The majority.
Yeah, they're going to receive that well because
not the true
they do.
believers. The true believers will probably bend to our thought process on it, which is that they moved them a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. I know, and it's funny, and that's going to be laughed off as the standard conspiracy theorist, like, excuse for it. Because right now, everything in the news is talking about how conspiracy theorists are so excited to see what's going to happen and stuff like that. But I would bet you, more or less, a lot of the people like us who are conspiracy theorists probably think the same thing. That the government wouldn't do that. This isn't going to be...
Yeah, there's nothing there anymore.
Maybe I don't have enough faith in the government. Maybe this will be it, and we will see aliens for the first time.
See some of that sweet alien tech.
Sweet alien tech. Let's see them aliens.
Then we'll storm the moon.
And then we'll storm the moon. Exactly. That's why I think that. 100%. We probably won't be able to be there. There's a fly in here. What's up with that? Have you seen that?
Yep.
That bothers me. I don't even know how to get in
attracted to our paranormal.
Our paranormal
beer.
Not a sponsor, but could be.
Could be. If you're listening.
I don't know. There's not a whole lot else to talk about on the subject. We just wanted to give our opinions on that so that if it comes out that either of us are right, we are immediately professional conspiracy theorists.
We
are pros now, but we're going to go next level. And
we're confirmed professionals.
I confirmed that you're a professional. And if you confirm that I'm a professional...
So what's the next tier?
Making more money than we do now doing it. Because we don't make a lot of money.
We make $40 a month.
On that ish.
Which pays for our hosting.
Closer to 50.
Is it?
Yes. On that note, if you enjoy the episodes and you want to hear more of us or just support what we're doing, you can head over to our Patreon page at NC Squared Conspiracy Podcast. You can just Google it or you can look it up on Patreon. We do all sorts of stuff there. We have a post podcast where we just kind of wind down after the show and we talk about random stuff, not even necessarily conspiracy stuff. And on top of that, we want to do more member polls and stuff like that, but we need more patrons. And the people who sign up for our patron list, there's a chance you're going to get like free stuff because we give away free stuff.
Well, it's not even a chance. They are going to get free stuff.
You probably will get free stuff.
It's a small enough group that you're all getting free stuff.
That's true. There's not a lot right now, and that's okay. But we got a lot of people out there supporting us, and that's awesome. Like I said earlier, they pay for our RSS hosting fees and our beer and the pizza that's not here, but might be here next time.
Please.
We could have afforded it. We have the money.
Why didn't we get it?
I don't know. I was just busy.
You got off of work.
Yeah, I know.
I was doing other stuff.
I know. If you want to talk to us about the show, you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube, Podbean, GoFundMe, all these places. We're all over, really. You can listen to us wherever you're listening to us now. We're on Spotify. We're on Google Podcasts. We're on iTunes. We're on... Oh, man, we're all at CastBox for mobile users. We're all over the place. We've been getting some good response on Twitter recently.
Yeah.
We actually, in our last episode, we were talking about the C word, which is another conspiracy podcast that we talk to on occasion on Twitter. We said that they need to make shirts, and apparently they have shirts, so we bought one. And that was awesome. We're going to post a picture of it and tag them in it if they're not listening. And we're going to buy another one because I need one, and there's two of us.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to order a shirt, too. That's awesome.
We're going to have to get them to order a couple of our shirts.
Exactly. And they asked if we would storm the moon with them after the whole hashtag Storm Area 51 thing is over. And, of course, obviously, we're going to the moon. Yeah. If I can't make it to Area 51, I'm going to the moon.
It's got to happen.
Yeah, so hopefully we make it to Area 51. We do have a GoFundMe up there that's tanking, but if anybody feels like donating $5,000 because that's the imaginary number we set, just go over there and drop that. It wasn't
imaginary. We did a careful calculation of expenses.
We did, and we determined that $5,000 was a nice round number. And for the chance of potentially getting shot, I think it's good. And we'll live stream the whole thing so you can see it.
The whole thing.
I wonder if there's reception out there.
It doesn't matter.
We need to we can't live stream it. If we said we would live stream the whole thing, I don't know if there's any cell reception.
We live stream after.
That's not a live stream. But anyhow, thanks for listening. This was a fun episode. I enjoy talking about Area 51. It's one of those classic topics, but the whole hashtag Area 51 thing gave us a good excuse to talk about it in a new light.
I hope
rather than just standard conspiracy stuff.
I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a good time. So, yeah. Thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you next time.